Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Last week we gave you our thoughts and our comments on the Grammys' acknowledgement of Eddie Van Halen's passing, or should I say, their very minor and lack of acknowledgement of his passing. Well, after about a week of a lot of publicity back and forth about what they should have done, the Grammys actually released a statement last night. We'll read through that statement and give you our thoughts and our comments and whether or not our opinions changed. All right, let's jump in and get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today I have back with me the chemist, Mr. Vincent LaRussa. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay on this Saturday morning.
Yes, indeed.
I have a little bit of my morning voice. Hello, how are you? It's a little deeper. I'm going into
don't
my
have
Barry White zone.
you don't have your morning coffee with you like you sometimes do?
Come on now.
Yeah. Okay.
You know I'm a creature of habit.
That's why I had to ask.
Yeah, you literally said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I quickly had to get my stuff in order, but the coffee has to be there.
The coffee has, I think that's what you said. Give me a few minutes for a cup of coffee, then I'm good to go.
Yes, yes.
Well, we wanted to get together today. Last week we did our video and our comments and our impressions of the Grammys, a lack of acknowledgement for Eddie Van Halen. And right after we'd done that, Wolfgang had come out and said that the Grammys had asked him to actually perform. So we didn't know that when we did our reaction video.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw late yesterday, really was the evening, that the Grammys and the producer of the Grammys, Ben Winson, released a statement. So I was just going to read that statement, and then let's just discuss a few minutes whether or not that changes the point of view that we had last week. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We haven't discussed what it does to our opinion at all. But I'll read the quote from Ben, who's the producer of the Grammys. So here it is. Ben goes, quote, "We had a call with Wolfgang before the show, and I asked him if he'd be willing to come on and play. He felt he didn't really want to do that, and I offered up 8 or 9 guitarists who maybe could. But instead, he felt we should play a video of Eddie himself because nobody could play like him, so that's what we did. I would have loved for it to have been longer than it was, but Eddie was the only person in the whole in memorandum to play their own music with no other faces being seen. I felt that it was appropriate tribute to him, but if Wolfgang didn't, I'm sorry about that, of course. It's a horrific thing to lose a parent. We did the best that we felt we could." End quote. Right. So that was the comment from the Grammys. And I almost feel like the Grammys had to say something because there was a big backlash all week long. I mean, this story wasn't dying. So I guess let's just kind of talk through that statements, and I'd like to get your thoughts. But I want to break it up a little bit, right? So first things first, they said they asked Wolfgang to come on and play, and Wolfgang turned it down. So let's just stop there for a moment. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that that's probably the most appropriate thing they could have done as step one, especially since Wolfgang obviously is known to have played with Eddie for many years, and also put out his own music. So we know he's well versed as a musician. And thinking about that and thinking about, well, they could have chosen other guitarists, but we'll get to that. But I think that was a good step one and probably the most appropriate. So I'll give the Grammys a nod to that one, because were they going to ask Valerie Bertinelli to play? I think that would have failed miserably. I mean, right. Much it would have been nice to see her on the stage, but I think that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I thought, to me, I like that they asked Wolf to play. I think it would have been very appropriate. I'm not surprised in the slightest bit that he turned it down. He's been very vocal since the passing of his father that he doesn't want to just be living in his father's shadow. He doesn't want to be playing Van Halen music. He wants to be doing his own thing. So as cool as it
Yeah.
would have been for him to have been on stage playing Eruption, let's just say, and doing that in honor of his father, I totally get, and actually I'll say pretty much agree with him that he shouldn't have done that. So that first part, that's my opinion. So I think we both
Hmm.
feel that's a cool thing for the Grammys to ask. And at least in my point of view, I totally understand why Wolf wouldn't want to do that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
then go ahead.
Yeah. No, no, no. Go ahead. No,
So
go
then
ahead.
let's go to the second part, right? So the Grammys then offered up 8 or 9 other guitarists that maybe could do this. So let's stop there again. What do you think?
Well, again, they didn't ask Wolfgang and then say, okay, thank you, and then they went back and they said, hey, how about we just and not ask Wolfgang? So again, I give another check mark to the Grammy Awards, as hard as it is for me to do that, because you know how
Yeah.
I feel about that.
Uh-huh.
But all right, they did the right thing. They asked Wolfie if they thought that this, if he thought this was a good idea,
Mhm.
and I could see his stance again on that, you know. And you know what? Now it's funny how things change perspective a week later, you know. And like anything else in life, when you jump to some conclusions without having know all the evidence, valuable evidence. People don't know what I'm talking about there. Go watch Smoking the Bandit. Anyways, so I think now knowing that they asked that was an idea. Again, I think the better idea was to have Eddie on the screen, because I think Wolfie's right again. Like, why go have Joe Satriani or Steve Vai or one of these other guys play? Let's see the real guy, even if he's, you know, not alive now, but let's see some footage of it, of one of his iconic solos or something doing. I think again, I think Wolfie was right, and I think that the Grammys had that, you know, had it right as far as, you know, sticking to the what Wolfie said. Basically said the only one
Right.
it should be my father, and that's
Right.
what they did.
Right.
Now, could
Right.
they
So
done it for a minute? Could they done it for two? I mean, you know,
right.
I guess
So
that's the only other
so
thing
we'll get to that in
lies in
one
the
moment,
balance.
right? So
Yeah.
right. So the Grammys had honored Kenny Rogers, Little Richard, a few
Mm.
others with a little performance, and clearly their thought process was to do the same for Eddie. Now it's a little tricky because these others people were singers. Eddie's a guitar player, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think their intention, from what it sounds like, and I'm assuming that this guy Ben's comments are right, and that Wolfgang would say yes, they really did ask me these things, right? Because we know Wolf already acknowledged
That
that they asked him, so I have to assume they
right?
really threw out another 8,
Because it
9
could get really
guitars.
ugly if they're making up a story
Right,
now. I
exactly.
mean,
So I don't think
why
that's
go
the
down there?
case. But
Hopefully not.
I said this in the first video that we did, the first chat about this. I liked the guitar on the stage and kind of
Yeah, we.
symbolizing Eddie's irreplaceable.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with Wolf 100% on this. I didn't want to see fill in the blank, whatever guitar player up there playing Eruption. I thought the guitar on stage saying and symbolizing that Eddie's irreplaceable was perfect. So I'm
Yeah.
with Wolf 100% on those first two parts, 100%. Then it gets to the third part, and this is what you were just alluding to, where he
Yeah,
says,
and I just thought of something. But again,
go
you say
ahead. No,
your
no,
part, and I'm gonna
no.
say.
Go ahead.
So what I think would have been nice was because they did spend so much time with some of the other, paying tribute to the other artists like Kenny Rogers, um, have like the intro where it's like a minute, say, and 30 seconds of those guys I spoke to, or guitar players who were hugely influential on Eddie, and just
Mhm.
speaking a couple of words of what Eddie meant to them. Boom, boom, and then fade into Eddie doing, even if it's that only 15 seconds of the guitar solo, whatever they showed. I think that would have been cool. You know, just like have guitar players talk about Eddie and what impact they made on them, and then show Eddie's, you know, footage with the guitar on the stage. That
Yep.
might have been cool. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, in hindsight, if they were going to spend possibly, you know, 2 minutes or whatever it was, they could have done it that way. But
Yep.
you know,
Right. And that
that's
goes
that's
into the third part that I was going to bring up, right? Where Ben said from the Grammys, I would have loved for it to have been longer than it was. Right. So let's stop there. It
yeah,
could have been,
right,
right? That's in the
yeah,
Grammys control, right? So
right,
the Grammys are the ones that decided 15 seconds would be appropriate. And I understand they're saying he was the only one who it was his face and his face only. Um, so what? Now that's it. So the first two parts I'm with Wolf on, and I think the Grammys tried to get it right, and
mm,
kudos to them. But then to me, they ultimately still get it wrong because they only do 15 seconds. And I like
Yeah.
what you said. They could have had various guitar players, 10-second comments, and then fade into Eruption with the guitar on the stage. That would have been really nice. Or they could have just done a minute and a half of Eruption with Eddie on the screen. They could have done it either way, and they could have coordinated that with Wolf and whatever Wolf thought was the appropriate thing for his father, right?
Yeah.
But I still fall back on, it's nice to see their heart was in the right place, that they wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But is it really a surprise when it comes to the Grammys that they still somehow get it wrong no matter what?
Well, they got some of the other things right. As far as the, having Lionel Richie sing.
They did.
Kenny Rogers, and who was the other performer?
Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars
right.
performed for Little Richard, right? So
Right.
they got that right. And look, they tried to get it right for Eddie as well.
You said Little Richard is a step above. Is that what?
Yeah, I've got a lot of flack, and I don't mean Roberta over that.
Yeah. I could see how that was coming. I was like, okay.
But some people didn't listen to it all the way through. What I said was that Little Richard to me was a step above in terms of his, what was he, a 60, 70-year career in music where people knew his name. He was, at the forefront of music 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Personally, I like Eddie Van Halen better. That's the part people didn't listen to. I tried to take my personal opinion and put it to the side and just acknowledge somebody with a 50 or a 60-year career compared to Van Halen. Let's be honest, since 95, not a whole lot has happened. So I just tried to look at it from that lens, but I could take the grief. I could take the grief that I got from some. It's okay. It's all opinions, and they're all valid opinions.
Do I call you Charlie Brown now?
You can call me Charlie Brown. Wow, everybody. That's good.
Well, it was the good grief part, but that was good how you tied. I wasn't thinking that, but
Well, the wise everybody.
Everybody always picking on me.
So, look, and I appreciate everybody's opinion on that. I had no problem with people having different opinions, but ultimately, when it comes to the Grammys, they never get anything right when it comes to hard rock. They blew it in this case to me also. Their heart was in the right spot at first, but when push comes to shove, they still blew it to me. I appreciated seeing the comments.
I think it gives a little bit better perspective on it. Like, oh my God, they were just so negligent. But all right, they weren't as negligent as we thought a week ago when we did this. But to your point, and I'm sure even in their heart of hearts, they look back at it and say, "Hey, maybe we could have handled this a little." I would have to think. I'll try to give them the benefit of that doubt. But
right. It's almost like, what was it, 1989 all over again, right? When they gave Jethro Tull the award, the Grammy for best heavy metal hard rock bands,
which they were. But anyway, go ahead.
Of course they were, yeah.
Did Jethro Tull even have an album out there? Yeah, I guess they did.
Yeah, they did. Anyway. Yeah, they did. Okay. It goes back to that to me. Their heart was in the right spot. The execution.
Yeah.
They don't get the music that we all love. They just don't get it. And they blew it here. I'm glad that they were trying. It does change it from that point of view, that at least they were trying. They weren't like, Eddie sucks. He's not worthy of anything. I'm glad that wasn't the case. That's all I'm going to say about the Grammys.
That's all, folks. That's all, folks.
That's right. Yeah. I'll be curious today, because I saw this last night. I'll be curious today to see if it changes other people's perspectives. Not that they ended up doing the right thing, right? Because I think we both agree they still didn't ultimately do the right thing. But does it change the point of view and maybe some of the anger some people had towards the Grammys and saying, hey, they wanted to do the right thing and they just failed at doing so?
I mean, it changed my perspective, I will say. I'm still in agreement with you to say, listen, ultimately, it could have been done better. They could have, even with Wolfie's information that he provided back, they could have maybe extended it. Because how long was the part again? Was it
like 12 minutes? The whole thing was?
No. The Eddie part.
Oh, the Eddie part was 15 seconds of a 12-minute segment of memorandums.
Yeah. So the difference even between 45 seconds and 15 seconds to me is a big deal, and adding another 30 seconds.
Agreed.
Especially if it wasn't going to have a performance per se.
Agreed.
Because what are you going to have? By the time you start the song and start singing, it's like you're already like 15, 20 seconds. So you almost have to, when you're performing the song, make it a little longer,
Yep. Well, I'll be curious to see what kind of feedback the fans give on this one.
Mm.
As always, we look forward to your comments, your
Absolutely.
feedback, your thoughts. Does this change what you think about the Grammys and the way they handled things last week? Do you agree with Wolf that, nobody else should have been up on stage performing this, be it himself or anybody else? Or if you think somebody else should have been up there, who would have you liked to see Wolf and the Grammys get up on stage to Eruption, or maybe some of Eddie's solos, whatever it is? What would have you liked to see?
Yeah.
I think that's it on this one. Anything else you wanted to add, Bud?
No, I think we did a good job.
All righty. Well, I'm glad you think we did a good job. All righty, everybody. Thanks for watching as always. We look forward to your comments. Speak to you guys soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye. All righty. There you have it. Let us know your thoughts and your comments on the Grammys' reaction to the feedback they got over the Eddie Van Halen tribute that they did last week. We really look forward to hearing what you have to say based on the Grammys comments that they issued last night. As always, we appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.